Lou McNally, and this time, as we're putting the show together for you on Made in Maine, it's the holiday season, so we're in kind of a toy and gift mood. In Bowdoin, we'll meet Bryce the toy maker, whose creations have been delighting both adults and children for 20 years. And in Portland, we'll see what happens when you mix a small robot with some very creative people at Melodious. And I'm here at Stone Soup in the Auburn Mall, where the store is owned and operated by the local craftspeople and artisans whose products we'll find inside. So, stay tuned as we craft you another edition of Made in Maine. There we go. Hey, 2 in a row. It's difficult to say just how many people there are in the state that are producing what you might call crafts, just as it's difficult to say where craft stops and art begins, or where a hobby leaves off and a business gets underway. But we do know that the United Maine Craftsmen number about 600 people, and the Southern Maine Craftsmen number about 275, 100 of whom own and operate the Stone Soup stores here at the Auburn Mall and also in Bridgeton and in Saco. Now, this little toy here took about 45 minutes to craft with a bandsaw and a bench sander. It's called a leaping lizard. It's just what it does, see? You just make it leap and hopefully it'll land on its feet. If not, you keep trying. A children's toy from 20 years ago made by Bryce Muir. Well, nowadays, Bryce is much better known as Bryce the Toy Maker. And it takes a little longer to craft some of his toys, if you please, like up to a few weeks. And they're not all for children anymore either. And although most of them don't flip like our leaping lizard here, apparently some of them are quite flippant. Producer Mark Ireland will tell us more as we visit with Bryce the Toy Maker.
My ex-wife commissioned this piece with Bryce totally without my knowledge. The top part, I'm in a car delivering newspapers. It's a rural route here, right through Bowdenham. And then the bottom part is a turntable, and representing my love for music and my DJing business. It's just devastatingly accurate.
Our toy represents Jim, being an antique dealer and auctioneer, that he was always hunting for antiques, and a ferret would be the perfect animal. And so Bryce made Jim into a ferret, ferreting out antiques, and he always has his head into an antique newspaper.
And it seems as if I'm always wearing my pants low, below the, and my shirt is always up, and that's the way Bryce remembered it, and I guess that's the way it is. He's a handsome guy, but when you look in that family album, you see that look that is right there, that dewy-eyed look.
It was a birthday present for me, for my wife. No, basically, it pretty much sums up, you know, the way I dress. It certainly emphasized all of that. And my duck hunting. I enjoy and do a lot of duck hunting.
These days, Bryce the toy maker is doing a brisk business from his simple workshop, a converted parlor in his Bowdenham home. His neighbors, like Earl Swenson, who lives 4 houses up the hill, have taken quite an interest in Bryce's work, as have Jennifer and Jim Talbot, who live 4 houses down the hill. And for good reason. They are all victims at the adept hands of this mad caricaturist.
People in this town tend to run the other way when they see me coming with a camera because they don't know what they're going to get turned into. It's increasingly a local business. It started off, I was making toys for people in New York and California, and then my neighbors saw them and started ordering them, and their friends saw them, and pretty soon it was just a local business. I think that's a success of some kind.
Bryce's success really reaches well beyond his neighborhood, to as far away as Australia. But it has taken over 20 years and 5,000 toys, and not been without its struggles. The early days were spent peddling wooden toys on a street corner in Providence, Rhode Island.
Oh, this is a stock item when I was selling toys on the street corner. In fact, I made gazillions of them. All look like that. There's one. But these are the kinds of things. Now, is that a hippopotamus? Or is it some sort of strange poodle?
Today, Bryce's toys are much more elaborate. The child they're given to is the child within each adult. Not that they aren't durable. The solid wood construction stands up to rough handling. But the pure elegance of the lines and rich contrasts of wood make them equally suitable as museum showpieces.
So we're in your house?
I'm the one that comes in and says, come in and have some gingerbread, little girl.
Our intent in making the show was to enjoy ourselves. We have all kinds of things that generate a playful spirit, and that's what we're after in this show. Something to refresh and to get us in touch with the child that's inside. Right now we are featuring Bryce Muir's work, which is a storytelling group of characters, story images that we call back our own childhood.
Should we fly this at the camera?
Bryce's work is ingenious. It's a combination of sculptor and woodworker. He's very insightful in what he does. He can see personality and character and then bring that out in his work. And so be careful if he ever decides to choose you.
Pieces evolve in various ways. Sometimes it's self-evolved. I have a passion or some inner experience that I would like to somehow render in wood. But more often, it's a commission. I made the Franklin piece initially because I was asked to put a piece in a show about the bicentennial of the Bill of Rights. And so I wanted to do a piece about freedom of the press. In the case of the golfer in the yard, that was a commission by a man's wife as a gift to say, we love you, which is what most gifts are all about. The one thing that she's particularly wanted to say was that I know you feel a little bit trapped in this domestic life. We wanted to capture his outgoing nature, and I think the gesture he's making, the great yay, 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 says a lot about his personality. Now, sometimes an idea is just frivolous. Jocko juggling the books. It was at the height of the budget controversy, which still continues, and obviously the obvious goat, or the juggler, if you will, had to be Jock McKernan juggling the books. Oh, drop that surplus.
Every toy represents a new challenge for Bryce. How to depict each subject, what types of wood to use for strength and appearance, and how to piece together not just the wood, but all the elements, like hidden puns and private jokes and animal symbolism. But perhaps the biggest challenge is animating each piece. If a customer wants a giraffe riding a bicycle, Bryce would not refuse.
Oh, no, I always say yes, then I have to figure it out. Nothing's impossible. There's always a way. In the case of the hummingbird, I wanted to replicate that rapid motion of a hummingbird. I didn't know how a hummingbird flapped its wings when I took the commission. I found a book that showed me in stop action how a hummingbird moves its wings, and I discovered that they rotate them 360 degrees. Well, so I had to come up with a mechanism that would do that.
Okay, you can see more or less how this mechanism operates is when you pull down on the fanny pack, it unwinds that string, which rotates that wing. And at the same time, this foot will kick when it goes up, and the other foot will kick when it goes down. Now I'm going to give away the secret of the whole thing, is that I don't actually make these toys, but this guy does. And at night, what I do is I set him down on the workbench. When I come in the morning, he's made these toys. Trouble is, he can't support himself either.
Now, Bryce the toy maker is known for poking fun at his subjects, including himself, as in this jester that won't support itself. Well, he's thinking of adding a separate accessory to this particular toy, namely a stand with which the Joker can support itself, see? We're going to speak now to Mary Biddle, who's the specialty leasing coordinator for the Auburn Mall. Mary, how are you today?
Very good. Thank you for coming, Lou.
Good to see you. Thanks for having us. Now, this is rather unique, isn't it? Usually in a mall, you've got, you know, your national chains, 4 or 5, you know, stores are represented. This is a little something new, isn't it?
Yes, it's very different for the mall situation to bring in the local craftspeople and have it in a store setting. Yes.
Now, is this something that has just happened here, or is that going on in other portions of the country?
We have tried to duplicate this type of a store, although most of the times it's a single proprietor versus the group of the stone soup artisans or the craftspeople.
I get you. Okay. Now, what about the future for a store like this? Is it going to stay here, do you think?
Oh, yeah. We're looking at doing a longer-term lease. We're in negotiations right now. And then we're also looking at duplicating this store exactly in some of our other mall locations. And right now we're looking at North Dartmouth and Swansea in Massachusetts.
So you'd have craftsmen from down around Narragansett Bay?
No. This would be the Maine craftsmen taking their products as in stone soup and doing a store exactly like this with the Maine crafts.
Maine products down there.
That's correct.
It works, does it?
Oh, yes, very much so. With the reputation for Maine crafts being what it is, people really enjoy and appreciate that craftsmanship.
Great. Well, good luck with it. Absolutely.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for having us by.
Bye-bye.
We're going to go on in now and visit the store itself and meet the folks. And now into the store we go, where Holly Hamilton's going to greet us. Holly, how are you?
Hi, Lou.
This is your little section, I guess, of
Yes,
the
it is.
photography?
Yes.
How long have you been doing this?
We've been at this about 7 years.
Now, let me see if I get this straight. Now, you are the past president of the Society of Southern Maine Craftsmen and the current president of the United Craftsmen of Maine.
That's right.
Now, what's the difference twixt the two?
Well, Society of Southern Maine Craftsmen originally was in the southern part of the state only, whereas United Maine Craftsmen encompassed the entire state. And then about 3 years ago, Society of Southern Maine Craftsmen opened up statewide. So now the main difference between the two is that in Society of Southern Maine Craftsmen, you have to be juried to become a member.
What does jurying mean?
It means that your craft or your work is looked at by the group or the board of directors to make sure that it is a craft and also that it has a certain level of quality to it.
Ah, okay. So
Yes.
are all the folks that are represented here in the store juried craftspeople?
Well, they're juried before they become members. They're all members of the Society of Southern Maine.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, there's also another little difference here, besides them all being Maine craftspeople. Some of them are owners, right?
Well, in a manner of speaking, yes, it's a cooperative of sorts. We have 33 investors, and these folks put down a certain amount of money and guarantee to work a certain amount of time to be in this store.
And they share in the operation of the business, as it were?
Yes. Yeah.
And what about the remainder of the people? Is more represented?
That's right. There's 82 in all, and the rest of these people are consignment people, and that means that they bring their stock in and we sell it and take a certain amount out of it.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, you've been doing this for a while with a couple of other stores, is that right?
That's right. Our first store was 4 years ago in Bridgeton on Main Street, and then we opened past year a store in Saco.
Right. Now, how do you find the difference between that and this?
Well, they're all working out good. This, I would say, is an even bigger operation because it's in a mall, and there's so much traffic in a mall, and it's a totally different operation.
Now, do you find that you get more results from something like this or, say, from the craft shows in the summer?
I think there's a difference in between the two. Of course, in a craft show, you come into a place and you set up and you're there 2 or 3 days or whatever, and you're gone. Here, we're here all the time. We're every day that the mall's open, we're here, and so we've kind of got our own digs. People expect us here, and plus we get a little bit of an outlet into that Christmas market in the mall, which is nice.
Everybody can come to one-stop shopping.
That's right.
For Maine crafts.
You
I love it. We're going to speak to another one of our, I guess, your original investors, just a little while. But first of all, we're going to take a little trip down towards Portland. Now, all the items here are, of course, handmade by the craftspeople. Well, here's an item that's an interesting mix of handmade by craftspeople and modern-day robotics, believe it or not. This is a music box, which is made by Melodious down in Portland. Plays zippity-doo-dah. It's their bestseller in a line of 7 music boxes and 6 musical clocks. Producer Wayne White-Chunas is going to introduce us to the people and the inventor and the robot at Melodious in Portland.
This is a product that's made with integrity, and everybody involved in it cares about what they do, and I think that shows. I think when people see the music boxes, they know that. They just start to smile or laugh, and they just know it. I think there's a certain magic to them.
The magic isn't just in the music boxes. It's in the manufacturing process as well. The combination of computer design and a robotic cutting machine make it possible to manufacture the music boxes at an affordable price. Jack Hansen, who is equally comfortable in front of an artist's easel or a computer screen, is responsible for designing the robot which cuts the patterns he and his wife Margot create.
Without the robot, we wouldn't have music boxes. Without music boxes, maybe we wouldn't have come up with a robot. I don't know. So that's sort of where it started. It was on the back burner for a while, and it was something that we would like to have been able to make for a long time. But until very recently, we really couldn't do it. I mean, we were doing it, and when we started out doing it, the price was just put us out of the mainstream market.
By using the robot, we can virtually design anything we want. This cut right here could be 1/1000th of an inch thick. As long as the material could hold up, the robot can go in and cut it. So we can not only cut, and we're free to make any shape we want, but we can also, as in the case you'll see in the clock faces, we can go in and in just an 1/8 of an inch material, engrave all the numbers in. So it's really given us creative flexibility to produce a product, produce what we want. The other thing it does is it means that we can manufacture it consistently. So we can build more product better at less cost, and it has more value.
Hansen has another business, USA Robot, which designs and builds robots and the software which drives the machines. They are geared for small-scale manufacturing businesses such as Melodious.
I paint, I draw, and I design things. And for some reason, I can also run a calculator. So it just happens to be the way I'm structured. I've spent my life designing things. I originally started with a Boeing company in Seattle, and then moved to Maine. And in Maine, started my own business, Hansen Design Company, and have designed and patented all sorts of things, processes, products, kids' toys. That's just the way I am, I guess.
Melodious is a young company. It's been less than a year since Laurie Axelson and the Hansens began producing and marketing the music boxes.
Jack and Margot were making the music boxes a couple of years ago, about 100 at a time, and selling them to people who walked into USA Robot. And one day I walked in to buy one, and this was the second one. We had been communicating about the music boxes for a while, and I was telling Jack that I was not happy working in porcelain, and I was looking for something else to do, and he said, well, how about marketing the music boxes? So I said, great, since I had it in the back of my mind ever since the first one I ever saw, that was what I wanted to do. And he was kind of surprised, but I just jumped on it. And I grabbed some music boxes, and about 2 days later, I drove down to Boston. I made 10 appointments with children's stores, and I got 5 orders. And then I went to the Springfield Craft Fair with my porcelain and brought along some music boxes to show to my customers to see what their reaction would be. And I got some more orders there, and so then we were sort of off.
I think people respond really, really well to the colors. I think the three-dimensional layering of the music boxes makes them kind of intriguing too. And I feel that right now, during our unfortunate economic circumstances, that one reason we are still getting positive sales on these is that I think during a time when none of us have the money we wish we did and don't feel like we should be spending anything, if you're going to spend something, it's nice to have something that's cheerful, that is fun and cheerful and lifts you up, lifts up the spirit, and I think these do that.
It's immensely satisfying for me to work with a product that I love and that I feel can be very creatively developed. So I feel that I'm using my creative energy. It's just not in the same way. And it's exciting to think about building a business from nothing, just taking it and creating it. I mean, it's very frustrating and it's very scary, but it's also very, very exciting, and I love it.
For the next month, we are going to be producing more music boxes, new designs, and new clocks. We're also starting to produce children's furniture. And the children's furniture has a music box in it. So we're making chairs and tables and toy chests. And we'll be producing that next year. So I'd say for the foreseeable future, until I get all these other things up and running, yes, I'm going to be involved to some degree in what Melodious is doing. We'll also be continuing to develop robots.
Even in these slow economic times, Melodious is off and running with as many orders as they can handle, and it's probably just as well that it is slow because they can keep up with those orders, keep the quality up, and not run the risk of growing too quickly. It's a problem we should all have, I suppose. And as far as Jack's robotics business is concerned, well, there's some bright hope there, too, because not much has been done yet in terms of robotics as it's applied to small manufacturers. So there's some room to move there. We're back at Stone Soup now, and Barbara O'Brien is with us, one of the original investors.
Hi,
right?
Lou. Yes, I am.
And also the only putter.
I am.
How long have you been throwing pots?
Well, I've been a potter here in Maine for 20 years. I was a teacher in New York formerly, moved to Maine in 1970 and started making pots. Mm-hmm. I've supported the family that way since then. It's a wonderful way to make a living.
Now, the store, I imagine, does kind of help in evening out the seasonality of the business?
It does. I've always done craft fairs. Most of the crafters in here participate in a number of shows a year, but this is a permanent commitment. This is a more serious way of marketing. The craft fairs are so temporary and so iffy. To be rained out at a 3-day fair is a terrible experience because the planning that goes in and the productivity is all wasted.
Plus they're gone the next week.
Yes, this is a guarantee for us. This really is an easy way to be a permanent part of the Maine craft scene.
Now you found a way of connecting the store and the craft fairs too this year, right?
Yes, this year for the first time the Society is offering gift certificates. They're available for purchase at any of the Stone Soup stores or at our craft fairs. We have about 80 a year that the Society sponsors, and they are redeemable anywhere else, at any of the other fairs or at the stores.
So they could get a certificate here and then give it to somebody who's coming up in the summer, and they can use that at the for their birthday. So that's a great idea.
Yeah, it is. It's worked well.
Before we go, tell me a bit about some of the other kinds of people that are here. I mean, you're working full-time doing this.
Yes, I'm working full-time doing this, but the store really is an opportunity for those people who are holding full-time jobs, and there are some very interesting ones being held here by the people in this room. There's our state legislator from Poland Spring around the corner. The leaded glass behind you is done by a full-time parole officer.
No
The
kidding.
calendars on the wall behind me are done by an active Baptist minister. These are full-time professions that wouldn't allow the time for the kind of marketing that's done here for us cooperatively.
I see. That's an advantage for everybody.
Yes, it is.
Sounds great. Now, we have one more advantage right here, and that, of course, is the Maine Made America's Best. Now, we covered this in one of our earlier shows, but how is the...
It's a wonderful program.
How's it working?
I can't say enough about it. Joan Anderson Cook is head of the Maine Products Marketing Commission. And one of the things the commission does is make available these tags, which provide a kind of instant recognition. When you're out of state doing a show and people spot the tag, they come right over to talk about Maine. They all have wonderful memories of early summers in camp, their honeymoon in Maine, some of the best vacations.
Probably all wishing that they could be here.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Thanks a lot for coming up from Newfield today
Newfield.
to see us.
My pleasure,
Had a
Lou.
good time. Nice situation going. It's a great idea. That'll about wrap it up for this particular Made in Maine, but as you've been able to see, whether it's the toys and novelties that are offered to you by Bryce the Toy Maker and Melodious, or whether it's the fine handmade items that you find here and at the other stone soups, they're all continuing examples of the unique people and talents that you're going to find in this segment of the Maine economy. And they're, of course, all made in Maine. This is Lou McNally. Hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope you'll tune in again next time for another edition of Made in Maine.
How many times are you gonna try? You see, now, I'm gonna have to live with this, the thought that what'll happen is you'll take this and run it, of me repeatedly trying to get this thing to work. I think the odds of actually doing it. Oh, close.